Have you ever wondered what you would do if you found yourself lost in the vastness of a desert, with no direction and surrounded by overwhelming darkness? That is the story I want to share with you today. Imagine a group of migrants, each carrying their hopes, dreams, and fears, chasing mysterious lights glowing in the distance, as if they promised a safe path north, a path to the life they had always longed for. However, as they get closer, an unsettling feeling creeps over them. These lights, which at first seem like a beacon of hope, soon turn into a dark symbol of the struggle of those who have lost their lives in this unforgiving place, souls trapped in an endless cycle of suffering. Let me take you on a journey where desolation intertwines with hope, a story that will make you question what you thought you knew about life and death. It was a warm night in the desert, the sky filled with bright stars flickering like an endless light show. The migrants walked with determination, but discouragement was slowly taking hold of their hearts. They had been walking for days under the scorching sun, and though the cool night air brought some relief, exhaustion and uncertainty were beginning to weigh heavily. To keep their spirits up, they shared stories, their laughter echoing into the darkness. But that joy was fading. Everything changed when, in the distance, a dim and flickering light appeared. It was as if an angel had lit a small torch in the middle of nowhere. Intrigued and filled with renewed energy, they decided to follow it, convinced that the spirits of the desert were guiding them towards safety. With each step toward the light, the group felt revitalized. It seemed to be drawing them in, promising refuge and salvation. However, a subtle chill ran down the spines of a few, as if something was not quite right. The light, though mesmerizing, carried an eerie aura of sorrow. One of the men, Javier, a veteran of the migrant trail, murmured that perhaps this was not a path to salvation but a cruel trick of the desert. But his words were carried away by the wind as the others pressed on. Caught in the hypnotic pull of the light, days turned into a frantic routine. More lights appeared, each one brighter than the last. Excitement grew as they chased them, but so did an unshakable tension in the air. The laughter that once filled their nights was replaced by hushed whispers and wary glances. Whenever someone tried to speak, their words felt hollow, as if the desert itself was swallowing their voices. The world around them seemed distorted, and looking back, the path they had traveled felt like a never-ending loop of unease. One evening, as the sun dipped below the dunes, the group decided to rest. The day's heat had been relentless, and exhaustion was taking its toll. They sat on the sand, sharing what little food and water they had left. Their conversation turned to memories of home, of families left behind, of dreams slipping further away. A woman named Clara spoke of her son, whom she had left behind in search of a better life. Her voice trembled as she recounted the promise she had made to return with a bright future. Their stories intertwined, weaving a fragile thread of hope and despair that bound them together in the vast, merciless desert. Yet in the distance, the lights continued to glow, brighter than ever, as if beckoning them toward an unknown fate. Doubt began to spread when Francisco, a young man in the group, dared to suggest that the lights were a deception, a cruel mirage luring the desperate to their doom. His words sparked murmurs of uncertainty. Some nodded, feeling an instinctive dread that told them the lights were tied to something sinister. Yet most clung to the hope that this was their only chance at salvation. As the days passed, the group became divided. Those who wanted to keep following the lights, and those who believed they should turn back and find another way. The tension grew, and disagreements turned into heated arguments. One night, as the group debated fiercely, an unusually bright light appeared. It was dazzling, closer than any of the others. Blinded by its glow, the group set aside their differences and followed it, determined to reach its source. But as they moved toward it, something unsettling began to happen. The light seemed to shift, leading them along a winding path, and when they looked back, they realized the landscape never changed. A suffocating sense of entrapment settled over them, and despair crept into their souls like a relentless shadow. Night after night, their journey became more unbearable. Fatigue and fear turned into an invisible monster that devoured every glimmer of hope. One evening, Clara dared to voice the question that had been haunting them all. Were they truly making progress, or had they been walking in circles all along? Her words echoed in the stillness, as if the desert itself was listening. But no answer came. Instead, one by one, the lights began to go out. Panic set in as the group realized the horrifying truth. They had been chasing the souls of lost migrants, forever trapped in the unforgiving desert. Paralyzed by fear, they felt a dark presence looming over them, an inescapable fate drawing them deeper into the abyss. With the last flickering light, the desert became a place of terror. The fabric of reality unraveled, and the darkness grew heavier. Miguel, who had once shared a hopeful story, broke the silence. His trembling voice recounted how a friend had followed the same lights, only to discover that they were the souls of those who had perished, lost in an endless cycle of sorrow. Each word felt like an echo in the night, and as he spoke, the others saw in his eyes the accumulated despair and horror of those who had fallen before them. They now understood. They were caught in the same trap they had hoped to escape. As the final light faded, the air grew thick with dread. Murmurs turned into silent cries of anguish. The fight for survival became a desperate attempt to flee, but no matter how fast they ran, they only plunged further into darkness. The stars shone high above, but beneath their feet, the desert felt like a bottomless void. At that moment, they realized their journey was no longer just about reaching a destination. It was about redemption, about finding a way to leave behind the ghosts of their past lives. One night, as they sat in silence, facing the inevitability of their fate, Maria knelt on the sand. With her gaze fixed on the stars, she began to weep. Her tears fell like a silent prayer, not just of sorrow, but of release. The others watched her, a mix of compassion and resignation in their eyes. They looked around, and as the last light vanished, they understood. They were no longer just travelers. They had become part of a story that should never be forgotten. As the wind whispered through the dunes, their voices joined in a ghostly chorus, telling lost travelers that they were not alone. In a strange blend of pain and peace, they realized that their existence, though tragic, had not been in vain. They had left their mark on the desert, their stories destined to echo in the souls of those who would follow. In the end, the desert was filled with the lights that now shone for them, each one representing a life, a sacrifice, a dream that would burn forever in the endless night. If this story resonated with you, do not forget to leave a like, subscribe for more stories like this, and tell me in the comments what you think. In this vast desert of life, our stories are the lights that shine in the darkness. Remember, every step matters, and even when the path is uncertain, there is always a light guiding the way. See you next time.